So this is a short briefing on the lesson plan for delivery of a lesson for an RTI-TV test. So you're going to be tested next Friday week. That test involves you delivering a lesson to a trainee. The trainee is going to be an instructor who comes here from Manchester. Ideally, you want to write a lesson plan, and the lesson plan is based on what I'm calling a prompt sheet. It's not a script, it's a prompt sheet. What that means is that your lesson should be structured. It should have different parts to it. And I'm going to go through those parts which you know, and I'm going to talk about them as I go through them. So the first thing you want to do when you get into your training area, so you'll have to set up your training area for your lesson. You'll get your lesson on Wednesday morning next week, and you'll know what your lesson is on. You'll be able to study for your lesson, and you'll be able to write down your lesson plan. First thing you want to do is you want to have a lesson title. So you'll talk to your trainee. First thing you'll do is you call out the lesson plan or lesson title. I'm taking an example here, equipment pre-use inspection. So your lesson is on equipment pre-use inspection. And when you're announcing that, the first thing you want to do is you want to link back to a previous relevant lesson. So the previous lesson you're going to go back to is Introduction to the Forklift. So you're going to say, welcome, Pat. This is going to be a lesson on the pre-use inspection. In actual fact, it's related to a lesson we did earlier. It was called an Introduction to the Truck. Remember we did Introduction to the Truck this morning? Yeah? Very good. So have you any questions on that lesson? No? Okay. I have questions for you. So for example, can you show me where the parking brake is? Can you explain what the term easy side is in relation to a forklift truck? Please point out the carriage plate. What are we looking for when we're checking the carriage plate in terms of what kind of example could you give me of damage? What information is on the capacity plate of the truck? There's 3 pieces of information. Can you tell me what they are? After that, you go into the learning objectives. So you've done a link back. Now you're going to go to the learning objectives for the new lesson. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to complete a pre-use inspection. That's what I'm going to be able to show you, and that's what you're going to be able to demonstrate to me. You're going to be able to describe the different parts of the forklift. You're going to be able to tell me why it's important to do an inspection. You're going to be able to tell me when you should do an inspection. You're going to be able to explain what the fault report procedure is. This is what you're going to be able to do. So that's a different stage of the training. We move on to the next stage of the training, which is an introduction to the lesson. So we've called out the lesson title. We've done the link back. We've done the confirmation questions associated with the link back, and we've done the learning objectives. Now we're going to tell the trainee, this is an important lesson for you today, Pat, because you're going to be a full-time forklift operator. And we're hoping that you're going to be able to do this job on a permanent basis. Right now, you're on a temporary contract. It's important for you because you have a legal obligation to inspect the forklift every morning before you use it, or at the start of every shift. Now that's a legal obligation. What that means is that if there's anything wrong with the forklift and you're not after checking it and it causes harm or damage, you're going to be responsible for that. No, look, I know you're going to do this and I know you're going to do it well because you're after demonstrating to me so far that you're well able to listen and you're well able to carry out instructions. Okay, so now we're going to carry on into the lesson. So the next stage of our lesson is we do a walkthrough. So I'm going to tell the trainee we're going to use a checklist and we're going to check each item. So I'm actually going to use a pointy stick or a pointer, and as I'm demonstrating it to you, I'm going to point out each item as I go along. I'm going to name it. I'm going to tell you why I'm checking it, what I'm checking it for, and That's the way we're going to do this. You're going to check it, starting at the tips of the forks and work your way back to the back of the truck. Then you're going to get on the truck. You're going to do the functional checks. You're going to check the seat, check the seat belt. You're going to get yourself into the truck, comfortable, and you're going to show me all the functions of the hydraulics. You're going to show me the drive and braking. You're going to walk through that. You're going to explain it before you demonstrate it. So we've explained it. After explaining it, you can ask confirmation questions if you wish. So after your explanation, you can say, have you any questions, Pat? Pat says, no, I have a couple of questions for you. Can you show me, can you tell me what we're going to check first? Can you tell me what are functional checks? You can ask any confirmation questions you want, but you should ask 2 or 4 confirmation questions. Now, if you don't ask confirmation questions after the explanation, you can ask them after the demonstration. So you've just done your explanation where you're telling them what you're going to do. The next thing you do is you take your pointy stick, you take your checklist, and you do the pre-use inspection, taking each item as you go along, pointing to everything. These are the fork arms. What we're checking for here is any fracturing at the heels, any damage at the tips. I'm not going to go into the demo. I'm only explaining what you're supposed to do. After that demonstration, you do your confirmation questions. In this case, I'll be asking, for example, why is it important to do a pre-use inspection? When should you do the pre-use inspection? Point out the hydraulic controls. What are we checking the fork arms for? So they are confirmation and questions. And then after that, you're going to get the trainee to do a supervised pre-use inspection. So you're going to tell them what to check. You're going to tell them how to check it. So, right, I want you to point at the fork arms. I want you to point at the carriage plate. What are you checking the carriage plate for? What are you checking it? Check it, check it, check it. And you can get them to do a checklist if you want, or you can wait till they're doing their unsupervised demonstration. So they do one demonstration where you supervise them, and then you say, right, that's a supervised demonstration out of the way. We're after doing a complete pre-use inspection. No, I want you to do a complete pre-use inspection. I want you to use this form. You don't have to use a pointy stick this time. And I want you to go through each and every item, and I want you to complete the pre-use inspection and sign it off. And when they're doing that, you can stand watching them. You can give them encouragement. You can say, well done, glad you checked that. Very good. Yeah. If you're ready to do your functional checks, tell them how to do their functional checks, obviously, before. And then say, right, you're just after demonstrating to me now that you can do a pre-use inspection. Have you any questions on that? They'll say no, right? So I've got some final questions for you. Explain what the fault report procedure is. So what's the fault report procedure? Point out the mast, slides and rollers. Tell me where the mast, slides and rollers are. What are you checking for when you're checking the mast, slides and rollers? Explain the function of the carriage plate. So the forks are sitting on the carriage plate. What does that do? Has it any other functions? Very good. Delighted. Well able to answer the questions. So today, what you've done is, and you're going to go back and read out your objectives. You're after showing me that you can complete a pre-use inspection, and you're after be able to describe the different parts of the forklift. You're after be able to tell me why it's important to do an inspection. You're after being able to tell me when you should do an inspection, and you're after explaining what the fault report procedure is. You're after doing all that, and I'm absolutely delighted with you, Pat. Now, we're finished that lesson, but later on, we're going to be doing hydraulic controls lesson, and I'm going to show you how to use the hydraulic controls. Frank is already after doing that lesson. Have a chat with him when you're in the canteen, and I look forward to seeing you then. So what I've done is I've just walked through this prompt sheet Now, it's not a script, it's a prompt sheet. I've done every item that's on it. I'm going to do a copy of this prompt sheet. I'm going to scan it and send you a copy of it. When you're doing your lesson next Friday week as a test, it's a good idea for you to write out your lesson plan. In other words, everything you have to do to deliver the lesson, learn it off by heart, but then you're going to use the prompt sheet to make sure that you don't miss, for example, you don't miss the lesson title, you don't miss the link back, you don't miss the learning objectives, you don't miss the introduction. I think you're getting the point. You have to speak on all of those headings. You're not reading a script. You're not reading a script at all, but you are covering the headings. And I hope that this short video is helpful for you. And I hope that this prompt list will help you as well. So I'm going to send you a copy of that. Let me know if you need any other questions answered. Let me know if the video was no good. Let me know if there's any questions coming up out of the video. Thanks for watching.